Hello again. I'm back with a little more food for thought. We were part of a place that had a story about its origins and purpose. And some of us who were looking closely noticed that parts of that story changed. We were there, we lived it, but the way it's being told now seems slightly different from how I remember it, but maybe I just don't remember it right. And this story sounds really good for the sake of the cause. So this is probably how it went down, right? It's not that I'm remembering wrong. It just must have been that all along. And so we overlook it. We check our hesitancy and bury the red flags. What if I told you that the International House of Prayer prophetic history isn't the only altered history in the story that we've been a part of, both during our time there and in the community that's formed after? That's right. The story of the post-IHOPKC community has its own narrative, to use a beloved word, that has evolved in this last year in particular. What if I told you it's not all true? Now, it might not be that there's willful fabrication. It might be that there is, though. But even if just, let's take an example from, I did cameras in media at IHOPKC. And part of what we did was we didn't take shots of empty chairs. If the prayer room was packed, we showed a lot of people in the room. Kind of like what you can see is happening now, where the clips they're putting up are from the new Saturday services when they have everyone in the prayer room. Otherwise, if you're watching the actual web stream, they never show the room anymore because there's not as many people in it most of the time. But the promo materials that are being put out are from when they have all the staff in there for the services. So when I was on media doing cameras there, we just wouldn't show the room if the chairs were empty. Just only take shots of the stage. So if the only thing anyone ever sees is when the room's full, you might assume the room's packed when there's just not shots of the stage, there's not shots of the audience being shown. So I'm just going to focus on that kind of thing when I'm talking about ways that the story you're hearing about the post-IHOPKC community might not be all that it's marketed as. And some of that might be from selectively not showing certain shots. So it's not that they're lying about how things went down blatantly, but maybe just certain details are left out. You know, just tell the story about just some stuff one person did that makes it sound like that person did it all alone. It makes that person seem super brave and like a trailblazer. Leave out all the help they had along the way. Leave out the person who co-founded a certain space with them and all the work that person did in the years of their life that person gave. And then make it out to be that person's attacking something when they're trying to literally just bring up concerns they have from their hands having been involved. But whatever. So sometimes it can be, the way facts are told, but framed with certain information selectively left out. Blatant lie? Not necessarily. Not the whole truth, though, it's tricky to navigate. It makes it really hard to point out. But we're looking back on stuff where similar tactics were used, and we've got people who were part of a community that was full of doing that, and a lot of us were the ones doing it when we worked in media or marketing or XYZ, or we're doing our own fundraising. We all picked up those skills actively or passively while we were there. And that's just the thing. We all participate in some form of image management. I mean, we're all on social media only showing you parts of our lives. That's the highlight reel. Like, we're all prone to that. And it's not all 100% evil, but it can be indirectly manipulative, maybe unintentionally. Doesn't take away from the fact that it winds up producing a story that might not be the whole truth. And sometimes people are owed a little more of the truth. I don't have easy answers for it, but I just think it's something that's worth being mindful of. It might not be something that's done from malice. It might not be something that's done with the intent to deceive people, but it might still lead people to draw conclusions that just aren't the truth, that just aren't the way things went down. And It's just worth all of us being mindful of when we're consuming the stories that are being put out there. We're seeing the shots that we're seeing, be it because a news editor decided that's the best way to tell the story for their purposes, be it, you know, the aims of the Star versus the aims of the Roy's Report, which vastly differ, versus Stephen Deere's aims versus Heaven Bent's aims. That's not to say it's malicious. It's not to say it's bad. There's only so much airtime in a podcast episode. There's only so much space on a page for a newspaper, but you're only getting part of the story. Just remember that you are only getting part of the story. Not all that filtering is malicious. Not all that filtering is bad, but you're not getting the whole story. Part of that's due to the limitations of the person telling the story, maybe not knowing who all to talk to, or maybe just not having the right corroborating evidence available because of the nature of how events went down. But I would just encourage you to apply scrutiny to everything. And remember that whatever you're getting isn't the whole tale. You're not seeing the whole of certain people, and making heroes out of anyone is a bad idea. That's going to lead to pain for the people you're making heroes out of, because no one can live up to that. It's also going to lead to disappointment for you, but it's also like the way we get away from what we did is to stop doing that. You know, we're trying to get away from celebrity Christianity, but we're making celebrity advocacy. And that's not fair to the people that are put in the spotlight and made to think for you. Like, that's a heavy weight on them, even if they've taken it up and they're eating it up. But it's not fair to you either. Use your mind. Use your brain. Once some of the people are out there posturing themselves as though they know more than they do. The people I know who really know things are not seeking the spotlight, like the ones who know less than a lot, who are seeking the spotlight. But that's a conversation for another day. And not everyone's necessarily seeking the spotlight, but they found themselves in it and they're not hiding from it either. It's complicated. You know, I don't think there's anyone that's wholly good or wholly evil in this whole thing. And that's a controversial stance to take. But we're all humans. People acting cornered and scared because they feel threatened is natural, and you would all do the same. Even if whether you were guilty or not. If you were accused of some of the things people are being accused of, you would start acting like a scared, cornered person. And that's the main point I've got here. Nuance. We're losing nuance. We are prone, by the nature of having been involved in a place like International House of Prayer or other high control religious groups or other, just even the political sphere, like as a country, as a world, it's so much easier to rally people when you can get a crisis or some black and white good versus evil situation. But the thing is, that's not how the world works. It's not black and white good versus evil. If you need a Bible quote, are you for us or our enemies? No. Joshua 5, if I remember correctly. Like, and not all of us subscribe to that. Okay, the quantum superposition, like the future of computing is that we need to move beyond the binary and realize that there is a beautiful tension that can sit somewhere between black and white, 1 and 0, yes and no, good and evil, us and them. And we need to get comfortable with that tension, or we are only perpetuating the same systems, the same division, the same splitting. Look up that psychological term, splitting, of angels and demons and halos and horns, that it oversimplifies things and it abandons nuance and it misses out key details of the story and it's perpetuating the celebrity worship that creates and elevates people in a position that's just dangerous for them and for us. We let people do the thinking for us. We force things into binaries. And then we find ourselves on the other side of the binary because no human's going to navigate that perfectly. And I know that's not the same as every church has flaws. Like, that gets used as an excuse when it's presented as an excuse. But I'm just inviting us all to examine things and to slow down and to stop making it so simple, because we might find ourselves on the other end of someone oversimplifying a situation where we need nuance one day. Bye.